Hello everyone, my name is Evan Jacobs. Welcome to another edition of Boxing Time TV. We have a very interesting fight, the fight that's happening on November 21st, Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia. This should be highly entertaining and fairly competitive, and we'll get to all the specifics. They're saying the odds are even on the fight on this boxing simulation that we are doing. Errol Spence is 30 years of age. Danny Garcia is 32. Errol Spence 5'9", Danny Garcia 5'8". They're both welterweights, 147. Reach 72 for Errol Spence. Danny Garcia 68. Errol Spence 26-0. Danny Garcia 36-2. This is a 12-round fight, 3-minute rounds, 10-point must scoring system, no mandatory 8 count, 3 knockdown rule waived. Let's just get right to it. The biggest X factor here, if we're just going to talk about this right off the bat, is Errol Spence was in a car crash, and I'm going to bring up his record here, but he has not fought for a while, and Danny Garcia actually fought in January, so he's actually fought in 2020. Hold on one second. Just going to bring it up. Errol Spence. All right. So Errol Spence is going to be, as we see, his last bout was against Sean Porter, a tough bout in 2019, about a year ago, September 28th. So just just shy of a year ago, like a month or so. And right now in this bout, you have both fighters kind of picking their spots. Danny Garcia seems to be doing pretty good from long range, and this is a good matchup. As in my mind, I think Errol Spence wins this fight if there's no car accident. I still think he wins this fight, but I could see why Danny Garcia would want to take this bout simply because it's a great opportunity. Danny Garcia he lost to Sean Porter. He's lost to Keith Thurman. He has victories over recent victories. It was the victory over Ivan Redkach. He KO'd Adrian Granados. He's beaten Brandon Rios. I mean, both of these guys come in with really good records. Continuing on with Danny Garcia, he's beaten Sammy Vargas, Robert Guerrero, Paul Malignaggi, Lamont Peterson, Rod Salka, Mauricio Herrera, Lucas Matisse, Zab Judah, Eric Morales, Amir Khan, he'd also beaten Danny Garcia had. He'd also beaten, I'm just saying, I was going to say Amir Khan, but I had already said that. He's beaten Nate Campbell, Kendall Holt. So a really good record. And we'll get to Errol Spence's record in a little bit too. I think this is going to be a competitive fight for a bit. I think Errol Spence should win this in real life. And I think that in this game, this is going to be a competitive fight. But I think ultimately Errol Spence is going to win. I see this going the distance. Both guys have power, though I think Errol Spence hits harder. I think Danny Garcia does have power. I don't think you can knock out Amir Khan how he did. I don't think you drop Lucas Matisse how he did. I mean, a lot of people thought Matisse was going to beat him at that time, and as we all remember, Manny Pacquiao went in and made short work of Lucas Matisse. So that round is split. One judge for Garcia, one judge even, one judge for Errol Spence. So we are even after the first. We're going into the second. Let's see what these guys have as they meet. And I'm saying I think we have a really entertaining matchup. You have Danny Garcia right there going to the body. He's going to want to do some of that. Slow Errol Spence down. And these guys are just banging each other. And we're seeing a really competitive fight. Nice uppercut from Errol Spence. And like I said, I think Errol Spence is going to win this. But I think for Danny Garcia, he sees this as an opportunity. Like, hey, this guy has not fought in over a year, coming off of a car accident. Danny Garcia is not an easy opponent. But I think Errol Spence is trying to make a statement and show, hey, I am back. And so, and we have a lot of stuff on the boxing calendar happening. Some good, some bad. I think there's too many pay-per-views. Like this bout, when it actually happens, is going to be on pay-per-view. And I understand why they're doing it, because financially it probably makes sense. I think the fighters get their guarantee, and then for whatever reason, it makes sense. But, we're looking at a time where people don't really have the disposable incomes that they had previously. And I mean, while I think this bout should do okay because of the pay-per-view bouts, this is a really good one. And I mean, the fighters are fairly well known, but it'd be awesome if it wasn't. And this is where, you miss something like, I mean, I guess Showtime could do it, but you miss the dominance of like what HBO did. Although HBO probably would have done a pay-per-view also. So what am I talking about? Once again, you're watching Boxing Time TV. My name's Evan Jacobs. If you like what you're seeing here, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share these links. Please tell your family and friends. Direct message me. Or hit me up in the comments. Let me know fights that you want to see. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can find me at Boxing Time with Evan. Give me a follow there. I do a lot of promotions for this stuff, for the Boxing Time TV stuff there too. So this is just a place. I'm just trying to fill it with simulated fights. It's not the greatest, not the most bells and whistles, but it just gets right down to the nitty gritty. If you want to see a version of a fight that you're excited about seeing, come here and watch it. If I don't have it, let me know and I'll put it up. And it's just fun. It's just a different way. It's a way for me to do a boxing podcast, but not, but do it kind of differently. Although, and I listen to it, the timing is always that I listen to it right before I do this. Chris Mannix's Sports Illustrated podcast is so excellent that I just can't say enough good things about it. He really gets to the nitty gritty of things. There's an honest opinion behind it. He's not shilling for anything, and it really is entertaining, and I super duper recommend, and I super duper appreciate it. It's upped my boxing game, and we're always learning. We're lifelong learners. So one judge giving that to Danny Garcia, one judge giving it to Errol Spence, one judge giving it to Errol Spence. So Errol Spence ahead by 1 point. As we move into the third round, we have 10 more rounds to go, and Danny Garcia coming out stiff-arming Errol Spence. And, I've seen bouts be super duper competitive like this for the first 6-7 rounds, and then one fighter takes over. Usually that's what happens, and I look for Errol Spence to do that, but you never know. And Danny Garcia goes to the body, hits him correctly. It's incredible. Oh, and these guys are going back and forth. Danny Garcia giving as good as he's getting in center ring. Has he found a way? Has he knew? Oh, wow. And Errol Spence rocking Danny Garcia. These guys are going for it, folks. We're seeing a really good fight here. Well, they're saying Spence is breathing heavy. Garcia is obviously tired. One judge has it even. One judge gives it to Errol Spence. One judge gives it to Danny Garcia. Folks, this is even going into the fourth round. Errol Spence, 87. Danny Garcia, 86. Oh, and Errol Spence is making a habit of coming out and starting the round by cracking Errol Spence with that left hand. Now, Errol Spence seems to be backing up Danny Garcia. Has he neutralized him in some way? Errol Spence now finding his range too. Oh, and he wobbles Garcia with a body shot. Oh, and he's landing. Has Errol Spence figured something out? I've never seen. He's just come out. Errol Spence exploding in this round against Danny Garcia. Oh, he wobbles him again and punches him into the ropes. Oh. I apologize. Some people are texting me, trying to deal with that in this fight. But we have a good fight in front of us, and Danny Garcia fighting off the ropes now. Errol Spence has expended a lot of energy, and now Danny Garcia moving and fighting and. These two guys are fighting in the center ring now. Errol Spence, wow, one judge giving it 10-8, another judge giving it 10. I thought Danny Garcia did well, but wow, 5 points up. 5 points up. Errol Spence now 5 points up. Is Errol Spence taking over? Oh, wow, and he wobbles Danny Garcia. Is Errol Spence breaking? I'm telling you, I think he's seeing something I did not see. I thought Danny Garcia was doing well. Errol Spence, now Danny Garcia kind of fighting for his life, hoping to counter Errol Spence with something. Wow, folks. Oh, and wobbling him there too. Errol Spence has wobbled Danny Garcia a bunch of times. He keeps going to the body. Errol Spence taking shots. That's one of the things about Errol Spence that I've noticed is he does take shots. He gets hit a bit more than I'd like him to get hit, but he always wins. So, but still, it's something I've noticed. He is hittable. Now he's punching Danny Garcia into the ropes. Errol Spence, I mean, like I said, has not fought in over a year. Needs to kind of conserve. Does he need to conserve energy? Oh, and wobbles Danny Garcia now, punches him. Oh, and he has him wobble. Now he's fighting at long range. Errol Spence beating up Danny Garcia now. And folks, I'm thinking that if Errol Spence has already figured out Danny Garcia, this is going, hopefully, Errol Spence can knock him out. Because This will be the kind of thing that Danny Garcia, tough guy, he'll just take this, and we're going to have just a brutal beating starting in this round. Wow, and Danny Garcia wobbled again. Oh, and he's just wobbled and hurt, and oh, and he's hurt again, and we'll see. Can Errol Spence really pull the trigger and end this contest? Yeah, I give Errol Spence credit. He came out against a very game Danny Garcia and saw something and took it to him, and he's continuing to go to the body. Danny Garcia has all but abandoned his body attack and maybe moving into survival mode as we're in the 5th round of a very, very, a fight that Errol Spence looks like he's taking over. Errol Spence, wow, really hurting Danny Garcia. Now coming off the ropes, letting Danny Garcia throw punches, wearing him down. And we're in the final 10 seconds, or the final seconds of the 5th round. And Errol Spence landing hard on Danny Garcia. Wow. So Spence is breathing heavy. Garcia is very tired and has a swollen eye. Wow. Errol Spence taking over this bout. 10-8, 10-9, 10-9. As we move into the 6th round, Errol Spence is now up by 10 points, folks. Danny Garcia did not land the left hand that he wanted to start this round. Oh, and then Danny Garcia going to the body. Fighting from a distance is Errol Spence, and Danny Garcia trying to land. And both these fighters tough, both these fighters strong. We'll see, can Errol Spence keep this up? Danny Garcia is showing better defense this round, still taking shots, still against the ropes. But wow. Wow, and Danny Garcia does have a swollen eye, folks. If Errol Spence can work on that, and Errol Spence now measuring Danny Garcia, sort of taking a break. Once again, you are watching Boxing Time TV. If you like what you're seeing here, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share these links. Please let me know, direct message me if there's bouts that you want to see me make. Find me on Instagram, Boxing Time with Evan. That's a sort of a shadow page. I promote a lot of these fights, but I also try to do more posts talking about the boxing news of the day. Obviously can't cover everything. I just, do my best to kind of do my part. Oh, wow. And he wobbles Danny Garcia now with a left hand. And I'm telling you, it seems like almost every time Errol Spence lands flush on Danny Garcia, he hurts him. And this has been a big round, another big round for Danny Garcia. I'm sorry, for Errol Spence. Although Danny Garcia hitting him off the ropes. And so we're halfway through this fight, folks. And it was shorter than I thought. I thought it'd be more competitive, 6-7 rounds, and then Garcia would start to wilt. This Garcia starting to wilt actually started in the 4th round. Errol Spence came out with a vengeance. So saying Spence is breathing heavy. Garcia is very tired and has a swollen eye. The score is 10-8, 10-9, 10-9, all for Errol Spence. Folks, I'm telling you, I think this next 6 rounds, if it goes 6 rounds, are going to be brutal for Danny Garcia. It's just my thought. This is just what kind of happens on Boxing Time TV, especially when you have 2 fighters who hit hard and have good chins. Oh, and Errol Spence punching him into the ropes. Hey, you know, all things being equal, Errol Spence has looked pretty good from that accident. Doesn't look like he's showing any residuals from that. So that is a very big positive for him. Oh, and wobbles him again. Left hand. Errol Spence punching Danny Garcia. Going to the body. So Errol Spence's punch output has sort of faded. So that's going to give Danny Garcia an opportunity to land more. But I just think Garcia's taken so much punishment and beaten up, he's not going to want to do it. Errol Spence is unleashed on him. And Errol Spence has gone to the body, too. Oh, and wobbles him again with an uppercut. As you have Errol Spence now just teeing off on Danny Garcia. Folks, I apologize. Like, I just feel that the fight is sort of settled into a thing, and we're seeing Danny Garcia not doing much. Errol Spence didn't do that much this round, this fight. That's the thing that sometimes happens on Boxing Time TV, and I try to be honest and transparent with you guys. It can get boring. You know, you have Errol Spence now, 10-8, 10-7 over Danny Garcia. Now another 10-7. Do we really want to see 5 more rounds of this kind of beating? But folks, we're in for a penny, we're in for a pound, and we're going to do this whole thing. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, if Danny Garcia could possibly do something, maybe he lands in a certain way. But I'm telling you, I just think Errol Spence has his number. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get some water. Oh, man. I'm telling you, this looks like a pounding. Sorry, I stepped out for a second. Went downstairs, got some water and a cookie. And I just wanted to make sure that everything was shut downstairs when I came back upstairs. And, oh, man, Danny Garcia taking some shots. He's just taking a pounding, folks. And this is the kind of thing, if this really was, in reality, what they would do is they would, I mean, his dad would probably tell him, who's a colorful guy, really interesting guy, his dad would probably tell him, hey, I'm going to give you one more round and then we're going to stop it. Simply because Danny Garcia just getting pummeled, was taken out of this fight by Errol Spence. It was competitive for a few rounds, and it just shows you what a great fighter Errol Spence is, because Danny Garcia is also a really good fighter. So now 10-8, 10-8, 10-8, all for Errol Spence. Folks, we're moving into the 9th round. We have 4 more rounds, and Errol Spence is coming out, and he's going to look to hurt Danny Garcia, folks. I'm telling you, Errol Spence now landing on Danny Garcia at an alarming rate. Punching him into the ropes. Seems to be hurting him with everything that he's landing. This is, it's not boding well for Danny Garcia. But I give him credit. He's still in there and he's trying. And that certainly counts for something. Errol Spence now fighting at long range. Now he's fighting on the inside too. Danny Garcia is just, I give him credit, man. He's taking a ton of shots from Errol Spence. And now Errol Spence sort of, backing up a little bit, getting distance, doesn't want to smother his punches. And let's talk about Errol Spence's record. Both these guys come with really good records. Hold on one second. Let's go back. And Danny Garcia wobbled again. Errol Spence has a victory over Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, Carlos Ocampo, Lamont Peterson, Kell Brook, Chris Algieri, Phil LaGreco, Sammy Vargas. So, yeah, it's he's beaten a lot of guys. This is a good fight back. You can't fault him for taking Danny Garcia, who has 2 losses. Danny Garcia's a very good fighter himself. And, he's, he's got a test. I mean, he's what's the word? He's got a pedigree. In real life, he's got a test in front of him. Errol Spence taking that round 10-8, 10-8, 10-8 over Danny Garcia. Garcia's got a swollen eye. They could stop this. If they were smart, they would. But, yeah, I don't know that they are. I don't know that they're going to, but right now, Errol Spence completely in command. He's ahead by 33 points on over Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia clearly needs a knockout to win. He has power. He could do it. Just doesn't look like it's going to happen. And you know, in boxing, they would have, you know, in real life, they would have stopped this. The corner would have stopped this. Someone would have stopped this, especially now that Danny Garcia's eyes swollen shut and he's not doing anything to show that he can get back into the fight. And he's just being pounded by the gloves of Errol Spence. Oh, and just Danny Garcia punching Errol Spence back into the ropes, and he's wobbling. Errol Spence. I mean, right now they could stop it. This game should stop it. I don't know why they're not. We have upcoming fights. We have more PBC fights that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing the fights with the Charlo brothers. Before that, we're going to do Julio Cesar Chavez in his exhibition versus Jorge Arce. We're going to do Emmanuel Navarrete versus Jesse Magdaleno. So we have stuff happening. We have stuff happening. This boxing calendar is continuing, and I mean, they announced the Showtime or the PBC announced their schedule. They have a lot of fights. So there's a lot of boxing coming up. Unfortunately, a lot of it's on pay-per-view, but some of it isn't. Some of it's on Fox, and so this is going to be interesting. You know, I only at this point have ESPN Plus. I'm probably going to get DAZN back. I'm just sort of curious about what DAZN is going to do. So, you know, it's just one of those things that right now I think all I really need is ESPN Plus, just based on the level of the competition for a lot of the fights. But PBC is stepping it up, Golden Boy's stepping it up, and that's, you know, they're on DAZN. So this is an interesting time, and they stopped the fight. Garcia cannot see. I think that's smart. I think maybe it could have been stopped in the 9th. But here, let's go to the judges' card. The winner is Errol Spence by TKO. The fight lasted 10 rounds. Spence was not knocked down. Garcia was not knocked down and has a swollen eye. The scores 88-78, 89-79, 90-78. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to Boxing Time TV. I apologize if this seems a bit sloppy at times. I do a sloppy podcast, but I try to keep it simple. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if there's fights you want to see. Direct message me. And our motto at Boxing Time TV is why wait? Why wait? Watch it now, then watch the real thing and compare. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share these links. Ring the bell. Let's get more subscribers. Let's build up this digital hub of virtual fights.